Hey everyone, my name is Mr. Sulkowski. I teach AP World, AP Euro. For this video, I'm going to do a quick crash course on African history for AP Euro, AP World History. If you like the video and it's helpful, please like the video, obviously. And then if you really like it, please subscribe to the channel. That being said, this is going to be a quick crash course, so it's not going to be anything that you're going to be going through a whole year or a whole unit going forward. This will be the main things you want to know for the review for the AP exam. Now, one thing you want to start off with, any part of sub-Saharan Africa, which would be the kingdoms of Mali and Great Zimbabwe, which would be two major ones, is anything below the Sahara Desert. So sub-Saharan is basically anything that's below the Saharan Desert, located pretty much in this region of Africa. Now, the one thing you want to know before going into the African cultures and kingdoms is the idea of the Bantu language and the Bantu culture. And they basically instill before your course from the year 3000 BCE to the year 1500 CE. And with it, there's really just the Bantu language. And that kind of instills some culture going forward with these great migrations of people before the great kingdoms that you're going to be studying. It could be referred to in your AP exam as the Bantu language, and that's basically what they're instilling here is that a common language throughout these major tribes and areas in Africa. But it's not all the dialects that they have there. So the Bantu were agriculturalists who spoke dialects in Bantu language, so the agriculturists meaning growing crops. The first great migration came to West Africa from the Bantu in the Great Rift Valley of Eastern Africa to the East Bantu. These two streams of Bantu people moved south. So you see them in the two-pronged kind of movement going down the southern tip of Africa. The second great migration occurred in the first 1000 BCE, so the year negative 1000, right? The second and the third great wave actually happened in first millennium CE of East Bantu people going further south into what would be Zimbabwe, Botswana, Mozambique, and Southern Africa. So this is basically the connections that you want to go of the language that would basically be the Bantu language, and it comes from a more ancient migration pattern happening in Africa. But just so in case you see that popping up, you know that that's basically not going to throw you off. Socially, communities were divided by ages. Men typically worked specialized labor, while women technically did domestic duties. While some societies had maternal actual rulers, it was basically patriarchal, meaning the idea that the patriarch or the family head was usually male in this time frame. While Africans converted to Islam, certain gender roles such as the hijab were not adopted. So a lot of these African places, they adopt Islam, but a lot of the cultural trends of wearing the hijab is not one of the parts that gets involved with Islamic influence in Africa. Sub-Saharan Africa is made up of small communities, families identified as clans over states. So it's more of a family lineage than a state or country lineage earlier on in African history. They had slavery of prisoners of war, debtors, and criminals had long been a tradition of African history. So the idea of slavery was not something that was foreign to them, just the idea of how Europeans interacted with the slavery movement and basically created that on the African continent as a means of wealth. That's where you kind of get that other kind of side of it. But the idea of slavery was existing before Europeans colonized Africa. Mali is the one of the two great ancient African civilizations you really want to know. The Kingdom of Mali rose from gold trade and taxation, entering West Africa from the year 13th to 16th century, 1200 to 1500. The city of Timbuktu developed a world-renowned center of Islamic faith and education. So they had books, incredibly expensive. So it was a great literature and great founding of a civilization going there. It wasn't just the idea of thinking of African cultures, but they had education systems that were flourishing in this time period. Mali's founder, King Sudanta, was a famous Muslim who used connections of established trade and relations with Arab merchants. So he's basically the big dog of the Mali Empire, starting it off. Under Sudanta, Mali's wealth grew tremendously. The idea that they became a powerhouse under his rule. Now, the grandnephew of Sudata, which is the biggest name you want to know for ancient African history, would be Mansa Musa. He was the nephew of Sudata, and he brought more wealth and fame to West Africa ever known before. He did this great movement or pilgrimage to Mecca because he was Islamic in 1324, and with this, it was like it was just showing the world how great the African kingdoms were of the past. In 1324, consisting of 100 camels, thousands of slaves and soldiers, and gold to distribute to many that he encountered on his journey. There's stories that he brought so much gold that he actually created inflation in certain parts when he was just giving it out, meaning that he wrecked economies while he was going on his pilgrimage because of so much wealth he was bringing. He is actually considered the richest person in history. Not Bill Gates or Elon Musk or Bezos or you think of like King Leopold. No, Mansa Musa, richest person ever. I think it's equated to about $400 billion today, and whatever time this video is, be May 2021. So you want to kind of equate it in that kind of world. Richest person in history ever, any book, any civilization ever. Zimbabwe would be the second biggest one you want to kind of cover going forward. It's named in the Shona, a Bantu Shona, meaning stone houses. The stone houses are reflective over here in the bottom right corner. And this would be, sorry to go back, this would be Mali. This would be the area that you would think of with Mansa Musa. And then Zimbabwe would be down here in the southern tip area of Africa. And they're known, Zimbabwe, for having stone houses. This is actually a very famous building in Mali, the stone kind of architecture that they have there. This is just African art over here in the corner. It became a very so going back to Zimbabwe, became a very powerful kingdom from 12th to 15th century CE. Zimbabwe had rich fields of gold. Swahili was the city-states that it traded with Persia, India, and China. So it's a well-connected area in the world because it's on that coastal line. So it's part of the Indian Ocean trade network going that way too. The change of architecture and material from wood to stone became a symbol of the growing wealth because it basically showed how their advancements of technology grew during this period of time. By the end of the 13th century, a massive wall stone basically surrounded the Great Zimbabwe and its population of 20,000. So this is the idea that it actually erected a wall showing the significance of how strong this actual great African civilization had grown between the years 12th to 15th centuries. However, overgrazing damaged surrounding environments and residents were forced to migrate elsewhere, along with the intrusion of outside forces coming into the age of exploration and quasi through the age of imperialism. Those two ages really started to really affect the great civilizations of African history. So hopefully you like this video, like and subscribe. Those are some of the main things you want to know and some people that you'd want to know going along with the ideas of the Bantu people and the African civilization. If you like the video, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.